I'm now at a Gunyang temple, which means a temple for women who died without being married. And at the back here are their tablets. I'm curious as to why a temple needs to be built specifically for women who have died without being married. What is that? Is that a form of discrimination? Is it a sense of chauvinism that women, even after death, have a second-class grade? I'm very curious. What is the rationale behind this culture?
I got married in 1995. I married 2 wives at the same time. Besides a human wife, I also married the spirit of her elder sister who had passed away during an abortion procedure. After the marriage, I could see my ghost wife at night. She was my spiritual wife. I could see her in my dream. I described my ghost wife's face to my mother-in-law, and she confirmed that it was her elder daughter. When we have family dinners, we always keep an empty seat at the table for her, with a set of chopsticks and a bowl. This is to respect her presence. This form of spiritual marriage is very common in our society. There's nothing special or unusual about it.
It is believed in Taiwanese culture that unmarried women who pass away will become wandering spirits. To solve this issue, their souls have to be sent to a temple or marry a living man so that they can go to a better place rather than being wandering spirits. In human marriages, there are legal procedures and sometimes customary rites to comply with. Similarly, in ghost marriages, there are also customary rites to declare that the couple is now husband and wife. I am meeting with a master who has presided over many intimate unions between humans and ghosts.
It is our traditional Chinese custom and belief that the family cannot pray to a gunyang, the unmarried lady who has passed away. If they do, it will bring bad luck to the whole family. Due to that, they end up as wandering spirits as their spirits cannot reside at the home of their family. Some of them will search for a living man as husband in order to get out of that situation.
How do they find a husband?
When some men with bad luck visit places with a lot of yin energy, such as hotel, riverside, or have night visit to abandoned places, these wandering spirits might fall in love with them, and the spirit will be able to disturb them by appearing in their dreams or even touch them physically. These spirits have to let the living man believe that he is having bad luck because they have offended something. Sometimes the man will get sick when the spirits get near to them. When the man can't take it anymore, they will marry the spirit.
Why would a man agree to such a marriage other than changing his luck? Wouldn't it be a social stigma to be married to a ghost?
Normally, the man will agree to marry the ghost because their sickness will heal after that. So we Chinese believe that if you do so, you give the spirit a place of solace to receive prayers, and in turn, she will help you to gain success in your career. It is very good for the family relationship too. I have never seen a case where the ghost marriage brings bad luck to the family.
Is it a legal union? Is there anything called divorce? Do they talk about children? I'm just curious. Is adultery allowed since it's only a female spirit?
Ghost marriage is not legally binding, but once married, there is no divorce because the spirit has already entered into the tablet in your house. However, the living man can have a living wife and have children like normal. In Chinese belief, we consider the person as senior if she passed away first. So the living wife has to greet the ghost wife as her husband's first wife, and even the children need to greet her as elder mom. If the ghost didn't allow the man to marry a living woman, there will be no next generation. If there is no next generation, it means no one will pray to her, and there is no point for the ghost marriage.
So, is it a case where the man needs the marriage to improve his luck? Or is it a case where the single lady ghost needs the marriage to receive prayers for generations? I wonder what an academic scholar would say about this interesting practice in Taiwanese society.
The custom of ghost marriage was brought here from China by the immigrants. Back then, there were many people killed during the early Taiwan development, and this encourages the ghost marriage custom and make it very common. We can trace ghost marriage back to the end of Ming Dynasty. There are two types of ghost marriage. The first type is out of self-view, which is to change one's luck. The other type is the case of the death of a daughter's coming of age to marry. The family will write the deceased daughter's name and birth details, put it in a red envelope, place it on the ground, and wait for the passerby to pick it up. If there's a man who picks it up, all the family members will come out and surround him, call him son-in-law, brother-in-law, and the man has to marry the ghost wife. Normally, the man will accept because he believes this is fate, and the ghost wife will protect him and give him good luck. Some will accept because they will receive dowries from the lady's family. There are many other factors for this.
She said she was from another world and she just wanted to talk with me.
I know Mr. Wu because of work. We stay together. One day he woke up and asked me to write down two names, Zheng Sumei and Song Guoye. He said he dreamt of this girl named Zheng Sumei for a week continuously, and she said we can look for Song Guoye to identify her. Song Guoye was a famous prosecutor back then who solved many big cases. We went and met Prosecutor Song and mentioned the name Zheng Sumei. Song said he knew her. From there, I know Zheng was a lady who passed away years ago in an accident where she slipped and fell from a building. Zheng wants Song to solemnize the spiritual marriage between Mr. Wu and her.
Mr. Wu told me that he will need my help in this spiritual marriage soon. One night, I dreamed of myself, my husband together with Mr. Wu. We went to the house to propose marriage. There's a father, mother, and a brother in the house. The next morning, I woke up from the dream and found that my husband also has the same dream.
After our discussion about the same dream, we think that was a reminder for the spiritual marriage. The lady in the dream has been waiting for many years.
Through my research, I found a man in Taipei who dreamt of the same lady for 9 years and never ever met her before. Every night in his dream, he would be in a relationship with this lady, to the extent of even having physical intimacies with her. After a 9-year relationship with that lady in his dreams, they finally got married.
I met my wife in my dream. She appeared in my dream every night for a few years and we chit-chatted. After we knew each other better, I asked if she was from the same world as me. She said she was from another world and she just wanted to talk with me.
Did she give you any message, any special message to find out more about her?
I asked her what was her purpose of seeing me and if there was anything that I could do to help her. She said nothing in the beginning. When we got closer, she said I had to marry her. I resisted initially because I didn't think it was right. She then brought me to a place where there was a book with both our names written on it, together with my birth details. She also appeared in my boss Mr. Zhang and his wife's dreams. I started to believe in what she had said and considered marrying her.
So when you married your wife, you must have done the ritual. Did you have to go and look for your wife's parents or family in order to propose marriage in the traditional way?
I asked my wife for her parents' address, as I told her that I would like to marry her. She told me that her parents were staying in Taidong, the east of Taiwan. She said that if I was serious about it, I should find the address out on my own. With the help of a journalist, I managed to find her parents' address and met them. After 5 visits, they finally agreed to the marriage.
Ghost marriages is something that is acceptable and also symbolic in the Taiwanese culture. Is it symbolic in your case, or is it your reality?
I feel that the marriage is real. There are times when she took me to a very beautiful place. It's too beautiful to describe. We had a good time there and we even had sex. The feeling was even better than in real life. During the intimate moment, I could feel the warmth of her body, like being with a real person. After getting married to her, I could see her anytime, day or night. She soon taught me a lot of things, such as the countless invisible beings, gods and ghosts. And since I'm her husband, she needs to protect me. So she gave me a code. When she comes, I will have to say the code and her spirit will give the correct answer. If the spirit that appears gives me the wrong code, then I know it's not my wife. I will use another code given by my wife to ask her to protect me.
Have you ever thought of marrying a human wife?
I thought of marrying a human wife or getting a real companion. I asked my spiritual wife and she agreed at that time. My friend introduced me to a girl and not long after that, I broke my right leg. And I broke the same area on the leg twice in a year, just 3 centimeters apart. When I asked my wife about it, she told me that broken legs can be healed, but broken hearts cannot be mended. I understood her message and have since stopped seeing the other woman.
When I did research on ghost marriages, Mr. Wu's story caught my attention. There seems to be a distinct difference between the cultural practice and Mr. Wu's personal story. He honestly feels that his union with the lady ghost is a reality. While respecting personal choices, I am curious if cases like Mr. Wu are real experiences physically happening or a case of psychological disorder.
It's quite common in Taiwan to have ghost marriage cases like Mr. Wu, especially in their early times. As a psychiatrist, I would personally refer to it as the Taiwanese traditional cultural belief, so there's nothing weird.
He had a dream. The lady came to him in a dream, and the dream continues for 9 years. Is that possible?
I would like to first explain about dreaming. Normally, people sleep 8 hours a day, and sometimes we dream about 2 hours every night. And we dream 3 to 5 dreams, so even 20 dreams is possible. We don't remember all the dreams, but only the frightening or exciting parts of the dreams. We tend to connect these fragments together, and so it's like you're dreaming the same dream or continuous dream for the past 9 years. However, we cannot prove it scientifically. We respect Mr. Wu's personal experience, but this kind of case is rare if it's real.
What I find very intriguing about the story of Mr. Wu is it appears like he has adapted it into his reality. He has a real marriage with the ghost. Wouldn't that be some kind of a psychological or mental disillusionment?
To diagnose a sickness, we need to examine a few different dimensions. In Mr. Wu's case, we cannot conclude that now he has mental illness. For me, I would refer to it as the cultural bound syndrome, where in certain kind of culture or religion, people will connect with people who has passed away, or even God within the same culture or religion. They will have voices in their head. We can also refer to it as the fantasy that Mr. Wu has. When people cannot get satisfied in reality, they hide their emotions, desire, and make it happen in their dreams.
I do understand what Dr. Ho has said, but I'm always curious. So I would like to put it to a test and see what happens.
I could see my ghost wife at night. She was my spiritual wife. When we got closer, she said I had to marry her.
Is ghost marriage a way of seeking psychological emotional comfort or a fantasy? Dr. Ho is conducting some tests on Mr. Wu to assess his psychological state. I am most curious to know the findings.
We met and did some tests. The result shows that he has no psychosis or any psycho syndrome, except that he can hear his ghost wife. In the Rorschach ink blot test, we showed 10 pictures to see Mr. Wu's reactions. We found that he has low self-esteem. He has difficulties to socialize and make deep connection with people. He has the desire to seek for friends or intimacy. But when he gets rejected, he will feel depressed. He also has the tendency to oversimplify complicated events, try to ignore the social rules in order to stay in his comfort zone. Mr. Wu has a lot of frustrations and he is unhappy in his real life. He needs a lot of support and care. He mentioned to us that he has given up to have a real marriage. He is satisfied with his current ghost wife. Therefore, it can be concluded that he might have built a fantasy world that he feels secure and comfortable.
According to Dr. Ho, Mr. Wu may have a condition called culture-bound syndrome, which is a combination of psychiatric and somatic symptoms that are considered to be a recognizable disease only within a specific society or culture. We decided to do another experiment, which is a familiarity in Taiwanese culture. It is a game called Deep Sin, the Chinese Ouija board. Besides Mr. Wu, I have with me a member of the Paranormal Zone team, who is a first-timer playing this game and who is a neutral party. Also with me is Sophia, a medium who can tell me what I cannot see. I want to know if Mrs. Wu will join us.
After listening to Dr. Ho's explanation, we learned that Mr. Wu has no mental illness. But I'm still curious, is his marital status one that is paranormal? Mr. Wu?
Hi.
Do not push the saucer, just rest your finger lightly. My name is Lee Kim from the Paranormal Zone. I ask for your presence, the spiritual wife of Mr. Wu Wenta, Zheng Shumei. For your presence, if you are here, please point the saucer with the arrow on this side. If you are present in this room, please show yourself.
Can you invite your wife to come?
来又走。
She came and went away.
I saw a spirit truck. His face is just like a lion. He is now standing on a table. And that's the reason. Stop maybe his wife to come here.
The lion face is fierce or lion face is protective?
He looked like in a yellow robe. So I think he's a protector, higher level.
Protector, it is fine.
From Sophia's description, my protector Doje Shugden, who rides on a snow lion, is present to protect. However, this might stop Mrs. Wu from showing up. I explained to my protector respectfully to kindly allow Mrs. Wu to come.
Do you stop here? What's this one? Behind.
I saw 3. I think Mrs. Wu is afraid because there are 2 more powerful spirits behind her.
According to Sophia, Mrs. Wu came with 2 spirits, and they were jealous as to why only Mrs. Wu got the attention. Before things got complicated, I called to a stop. Then we started the process again.
Return. Return to where you came from.
We want to communicate only with Mrs. Wu, but obviously other beings came along as well.
碟仙碟仙请出堂，碟仙碟仙请出堂。冥婚老婆大人郑淑梅，请你到。
After Mr. Wu spoke out to invite his wife, he started knocking the back of his head. He looked possessed, his voice changed, and he kept pointing to his head and neck, asking us to hit at the pointed areas.
到这里。
Mr. Wu's movement started being aggressive. To avoid him hurting himself, we quickly asked the saucer to return to the starting point.
What I saw is that then that looked something like a stick, and then suddenly it turned like the eagle, and the eagle tried to fly this side, and I didn't open my eyes, but I hear he's very noisy. At the beginning, a lion come up again, and on the table, and the face is face to him, and then everything stopped.
我知道一点点。
I know that just now there was more than one spirit, but they were not harmful.
When things started getting out of control, Sophia saw the protective lion come back onto the table. I called for a stop to the session. Mr. Wu claimed some things came, but they were not harmful. We tried to use this method with the Chinese Ouija board to communicate with Mrs. Wu, but we didn't manage to talk to her. During this investigation in Taiwan, I found that we are no one to judge what is right and what is wrong in others' beliefs. But what I found in ghost marriage is that there are many social values in it. Good or bad, that is subjective. It could be a union to make peace with the ghosts, or it could be a ceremony to comfort the deceased family and the man. Do ghosts need marriages? I think the answer lies in you. Do you need a marriage to be happily ever after?